Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of the Bullpen. Kev, we got a huge board. Why don't we get straight to it right now? Go ahead and lead us off.
Yeah, thanks, Raf. Today we're talking about the clean aesthetic of gold BJJ. They're phenomenal streetwear they've got. It's not just training gear, guys. You can get streetwear. Raf, are these all gold BJJ? All of these cards are gold BJJ?
Yep, just read the script like we talked about.
Yeah, you're right. They've got a variety of styles. They have a bag. It's phenomenal competition gear. You can bring it with you. You can throw it in the wash. Raf, these are really cool. Are any of these for me? Like that bag?
No. They didn't have any stuff for you. They ran out of your
Well, they're really affordable if you need to go out there and get them. You can just get the stuff, goldbjj.com.
These shorts are awesome. I'm going to get this. Wait.
Do they have a second set for me? Is that a thing they have?
They were like, hey, man, we ran out of stuff, and they didn't have it in your size because like fat. You know what I mean? So, like, these are all for like me. Anyway, go visit our friends at goldbjj.com.
10,000 hours is a steep mountain to climb to become a master, especially when the task at hand puts a relentless demand on your body. There is nothing casual about this sport. It's all in, all effort, all focus. It takes a lot from you, but the reward is unmatched. Mastery of oneself, an acute understanding of your weaknesses with an explosive sense of your strengths. Being able to complete the climb to mastery requires the proper nutrition. This is why it's important to take in a potent blend of electrolytes that is in tune with your output and brings strength to your goals. This potent blend is only found in Salt Electrolytes. Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs.
BJJ game with inverted gear, where pandas and performance meet. Whether you train in a gi or prefer no gi, we have something for you. Our gear is built to last and designed to perform no flashy extras, just high-quality craftsmanship and minimal design. Plus, pandas. Don't miss our back-to-school sale going on now. Visit www.invertijar.com and roll with confidence panda style.
What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen, a joint venture between the Grappling Hour and Inside BJJ. I hope you're having a great day. And I have to tell you guys, I'm having a pretty good one here. We have started things off maybe a little behind what your schedule may think the Bullpen was supposed to come on, but I've been told we have good reason. So to find out that good reason, because I don't know what it is either, we're going to go to Kevin Sherrill. Why are we starting so late today? Hold on. He is somehow muted. Hard here. You have to unmute yourself, young man. He's
got a look of trepidation on his face.
Here's the dumb part. If you look at this, even though it says he is not an evil twin brother, I think he just pulled evil twin brother shit. Why don't we go to Tim Freeman to explain what's happening? Tim, what's happening here?
You know what? I do not know exactly what's happening, but Kevin has faded to black once again. It happened during the pre-show, and it appears that he has once again faded out. I hope we can catch him back. I'm stoked to be here. We got to go lined up. A lot of fun stuff. I don't want to spoil it until Kevin comes back, so hopefully he jumps on in just a second.
I see him, so I can jump to him. He had his hands put to the side of his face like Kevin from Home Alone. But Kev, what's happening here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Perfect. Fantastic. Amazing. Hits keep coming.
So what happened,
no, we're
sir?
right on time, man. A wizard's never late. This is all part of the plan.
So since we're discussing part of the plan, can we discuss what is on your face?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You should know what I'm talking about because you should look at yourself in the mirror, I'm sure, as much as you normally do. But what is happening on the lip region? Like specifically in between the nose and the lip section, sir. Up here with facial hair that he doesn't necessarily need. And that, yeah, you do look a little bit like a cop. So I can see how that gets played there. But you should have been wearing that mustache when you went to Chicago, because now it makes me think you're from an entirely different region of the greater U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chicago.
It's a fine line between it is, and I think that would play well. It is a fine line between a cop stash and a dirtbag stash, though, and you're right on the edge, man. You're right there. You're still pulling it off.
BMAC agrees with
me and
says,
I feel like a dirtbag stash is on brand.
But he says definitely an evil twin. Wallow thinks that he has dirt on his upper lip. But BMAC increases the discussion by saying it works better for him than whatever he was doing before. So I feel like this is harsh language for somebody that had a handsome title basically put onto their name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a title that was thrust upon me, right? Some people are born great and others have it thrust upon them. And I'm ready to step up and handle that. Have been shouldering this burden. I've heard talk of Paul Ardea potentially taking my title, and frankly, he's not ready to carry this weight. He's not ready for it. He's not ready for the responsibility that comes with it.
Can I ask, what is the responsibility? Responsibility, you're supposed to make Make-A-Wish kids happy? Are you supposed to make public events at local community things or bakery openings? Like, what are we talking about here, sir?
You actually can't ask. I'm glad you asked whether you can ask, because no, you can't.
I mean, I guess so, but BMAC has pronounced the handsome Kev era is over. So,
wow.
What era are we in now? New aspiring Taylor Swift, KEVIN SHERRILL?
Paul does not want this. I've warned him. I'm like, the only thing the handsome title guarantees is people think you're an asshole before they ever meet you. You walk into the room and they're like, this fucking guy.
So
we'll see.
Okay. As somebody who's worn facial hair for a long time, have you done this look before? Has this been something that you are now just experimenting with? Because I don't want to say it's wrong. I just don't know it's right.
Yeah, I get mixed reviews. Almost every, it's female repellent for sure. Almost every woman I know is just like, what have you done to your face? That's the horrifying thing. And about every guy I know is like, hey, the stash.
The issue I think I have is you're about 30 pounds underweight for that stash. If you were fatter, you could pull that off. I think the fact that you're not obese makes it so that I have questions on if it's really the right look for you. Oh, you're working on it. What is this? Sir, you're supposed to be at a Naga this weekend. What is happening here?
He's at a chicken Naga. That's what he's at, a chicken Naga. Honey BBQ, pass it over, baby. I think this stash looks good. I think you should double down on it. You should cut your hair a little bit shorter, get a little bit more law enforcement going. Maybe wear a paracord, around your paracord wristlet or something. Yeah, get a high and tight, get some Oakleys, something in that area. I think you could pull it.
Combat boots for no reason. I'll be at the PGF in a full suit, but with combat boots, just cause.
I guess I can't really hate on that, because if you're there, we will be going over what we're supposed to be wearing very soon. But the nice part about somebody like you is when we were saying we were going to be in suits in the middle of August, you didn't bat an eye. And I think that is fairly important. And we have to give a big acknowledgement because Big Man, Boss Man, just gave us a super chat of $10. And I don't know why. I thought I had to do something for this. We kept on all of our clothes and we got that super chat. So thank you for that, BMAC.
Probably for a razor. Probably
Don't,
for a
no,
yeah.
hold on. Don't ascribe where the money goes, young man. We have to go to a meeting and we figure out where the money is going there. So before we get to the board, you did have an update that you were trying to tell me off air, and I tell you exclusively, all banter must be done on air. I do not talk to guests off air. We keep it for here. So what happened with your October surprise where you are not allowed to use a move once this month, sir?
One time I was allowed to use, I'm off of heel hooks, inside and outside, straight ankles and Aokis for the entire month of October, except for one. I have one. I was walking around with one bullet in the chamber, and I used it this week. We had a gentleman come in. He's from Ukraine. Turns out he is from the national team, wrestling team. He's very good at wrestling. Don't know if you know much about Eastern Bloc countries, but they can wrestle. And I taught leg locks, and the whole time I'm teaching it, he's sitting there in wrestling shoes like, yeah, okay, all right, like maybe those work. Had to put it on him. He had to tap to the heel hook. So after he launched me, I then drug his leg to me and then got my heel hook tap. And that's my one. And I'm okay with that. But unfortunately, I am now defenseless in leg entanglements. My students have responded. They're going after it. They're going after it.
Is this the same cat that was in the tracksuit?
Yeah,
had the joggers on and the white wrestling shoes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense. Okay, the picture's coming together.
He's really good, man. Yeah,
I guess
that was like the fourth time he threw me in that 5-minute roll.
Wow.
I guess the concern here was that I saw a photo that Paul Ardea very easily put up where he's looking like he's passing your guard, if not putting a knee on belly pressure on you. And you're smiling, but you're doing the smile that says, this hurts. I'm dying on the inside. And I just sent him a note that said, good. I didn't explain the context, but I knew in that moment, he knew exactly what I was referring to. So has Paul and all of your other cohorts, when did they find out about this little stipulation you have? And did that affect how they've been treating you lately?
I got to be honest, I don't think Paul needs the stipulation to bully me in the leg game.
Wow.
If you took not to gas this man up too hard, but if you took every time I've tapped to a leg lock in the past 3 years, I bet 95% of them are Paul. He's a bully. He's a fucking bully. Anytime it starts to look questionable, he's just like, nah, I'm just going to send this. I'm large.
I just appreciate the fact that we create these dumb stipulations for you and that you have to make your way through it. And yet you've been a pretty good sport, all things for it. I did see you didn't co-author that social media clip for whatever reason. Or did you? Did you co-author tell everybody about your move?
Yeah. I don't know.
There was a delay. I think that's why. I don't know if you were teaching that day, but I saw
48-hour cooling off period
real quick, and then you waited for night to come. And you're like, I hope this gets buried in the fucking night posts.
Posted it at 1
Sunday morning at 10 a.m.
All right, gents, I think we can now make our way to the board. Thank you for the update, Kev. And I guess we have to start with the biggest news of all, which is very simply, no Mo. It looks like Mo Jessom, the head ADCC organizer, is now officially stepping down. Or is he? And I guess this is a question that we need to pose to the people here on this panel. And I'll start with you, Tim. What was your reaction when you found out that Mo was going to be stepping down when only last week it seemed like we were having a discussion that he would likely be continuing on?
I don't know, man. I don't know how to predict what Mo is going to do anymore. It's hard to follow sometimes. It doesn't surprise me that he made a move like this, but then it also didn't surprise me that it turned out that he wasn't completely stepped away from it. He was just stepping down from that organizer title. So once again, there's always a lot left to the viewer to figure out whenever Mo speaks. And I think that's a little bit of the rub on him. I'm still going to wait and see. I think he probably is going to have a place in the organization for a long time, but it was very Mo-esque the way the information was rolled out and the way we found out more about it later. And it still kind of makes me wonder what's going to come next.
Thank you for that. Let's now go on over to Kevin. Kevin, what was your reaction when you found out that Mo would be stepping down?
Press X for doubt. I still don't necessarily believe it's going to happen. I think he's maybe letting it blow over. All of the CJI and ADCC controversy seems to be centered around a beef between him and Craig Jones. And if you just put Mo out of the picture, Craig kind of loses a lot of steam, and it's not personal anymore. I'm sure he'll still find a way to get his barbs in, but I think you just let Mo lay low, and then he has a triumphant return before the next ADCC. But we'll see. Could be he's out.
Thank you. I appreciate that, gentlemen. I'm going to remedy something as we talk here in a second. But yes, I did see that, Tim, and I will remedy that. We are talking about Mo Jessup stepping down, and I'll go ahead and pull this. This is how you guys can see things get remedied in real time. Tim sends me a note, says, "Hey, bud, that board, it's not the real one." And I'm thinking to myself, uh-oh, he's right. That doesn't look good. But the good news about this show is you can fix things, not on a dime, but relatively quickly. So, bam, look at that. Within 3, 2, 1, already fixed. Okay, so let me get to my notes here. And my notes are kind of as follows on this one. I feel like in this particular venture, talking about Mo stepping down, I don't know how to feel about this. Because on the one hand, you think to yourself, yes, he's stepping down. Maybe he can let some of this PR blow over. But it is a very difficult thing to do. You're essentially talking about ADCC nonstop for the period of about 2 years, every single cycle. So yeah, I could see how he's going to step away and take some time, see his family, all that sort of stuff that you normally see on press releases. But wait a minute. He's still going to be at a whole bunch of opens, and he's still going to be running part of the kids program. So I guess the question is, what exactly is he stepping away from? And that's within his own right. But the week before, when he was saying, oh, if I do it again, here's how I'd like to do it. I'd like to keep it in the States. So I guess to the panel, I would ask this. Do you feel now, with Mo stepping down, that we will continue to see ADCC in the United States, or do we need to start expecting the fact that it might go elsewhere? I'll start with you, Kevin.
I don't think you can move away from the money. Vegas is becoming even more of the center of the martial arts world. It's always been big for boxing. It's been big for fighting. It's really made itself the preeminent spot, the mecca of fighting. I don't think you can move away from the money. I don't think you can move away from the infrastructure. Obviously, Abu Dhabi exists. It's massive, but I think all the talent is here, and it's too easy to just bring people down the street to go to work. Obviously, the PGF is in Vegas, and last season there was an issue where they needed an extra alternate, and guess what? There's a billion gyms down the road, high-level competitors. It's easy to make a call. That happens in the UFC all the time, and I feel like there is just a mountain of logistical help available for you, as well as people are used to being there for fighting. It's a city built for it. I don't think you can move away. I think there's too much momentum behind it right now.
Thank you for that. Tim, your thoughts. Do we need to be prepared to see ADCC go elsewhere?
I think Kevin makes good play. We've already seen ADCC do things outside of the United States, and it was mixed results. I'm not saying that they can't pull an event off outside of the United States, but the market is here. The buzz is here. Will they do it in Vegas? Will they go to city? They might do that. I could see them doing something in Austin. I could see them doing something in New York City, something of that stature. But getting out of your market range, I don't think that's the play for them right now. They need to come back pretty big in 2026. They need to have a big answer. They definitely don't want to take a step down. That would not be a good sign for them. So I expect them to do something even bigger than what they did the time before. I don't know what role Mo's going to have in it, But I think ADCC has to do that if they want to stay relevant. And I think they want to stay relevant. I really do think they want to survive and be a major player in the market.
Gentlemen, you might have seen on my social media this week, I put up a very scientific poll, and I wanted to get your feelings on this. Do you feel that Mo stepped down, or did he step down? And I'll start with you, Tim.
Oh, you want my vote?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take your vote now, but I'd just like to know, do you feel like he stepped down or was stepped down?
He definitely stepped down. Yeah. Sus as usual.
With their hands in that gesture, it makes me think like, I don't know, man. I don't trust this dude. Worth a damn.
Bro, I coach a kids class at Superfly, and my tiny, like, 10-year-old kids that I coach, 3 of them this week told me they don't respect me with the mustache. They use different words. They're like, I don't know if you're in charge anymore. Like, shave it.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
it's a lack of discipline.
I'll be honest, I don't know that I trust your information anymore on this show either. So we might be in the same boat, kids. Though, nonetheless, let's just address something here very quickly, which is that, Kev, you were nice enough to give us that information, but I do want to kind of build up something here, which is, and this is difficult to say because you don't want to appear biased. I take my vote out of this. And I definitely want people to understand that, yes, there are things that come up. There are information, new things that we learn on a daily basis. So we put this up in jest, but there was a real vote. And I do want to share it here with everybody. And here's what it is. The vote was, did Mo step down or step down? Now, 9% of you, God bless you, thought that he did it of his own accord. The rest of you
2 guys
seem to believe, hey, we had a lot more people respond to this. And I love that we had one person who goes, I want to vote for maybe thumbs downing this kind of Insta-like attempt. And I was like, bro, save your culture for somewhere else. We're literally just doing this for a giggle. But I do this for a larger point here. The reason I bring this up is that, yes, a lot of you guys voted that Mo likely was forced off of this. But what are you basing this off of? Nothing. The beauty of the ADCC organization is that you don't tend to know what exactly they're thinking or feeling. You have a mouthpiece. For many years, it was Mo, who was basically telling you information. It was up to you whether you believed it or not. And sometimes, yes, he was speaking as a promoter, and other times it was more realistic. It was stuff that came to fruition. But the promoter speak is the one that people don't necessarily believe, like when they said they sold out of tickets back in 2019. Up to the counter and said, give me an ADCC ticket. They would have taken your money. They wouldn't tell you it sold out. Nonetheless, a lot good came from his era. I think you can't dispute that. But the reason we do this poll, after we've pointed out the fact that there's nothing you know for sure, is it really does signify the influence of Craig Jones saying, hey, I've heard a rumor he was actually forced out, and that people take that as fact. So whether ADCC did or did not fire him, it does point out a very significant part of the audience that will take Craig Jones's word as gold. And that is part of the detriment when you only have one mouthpiece. So that brings me to the question I'm now pointing out here, and I'm going to get to BMAC's note here in just a second. But as we advance the board, let's go ahead and look at this particular question, which is, with Mo being gone from the organization, what is it that we are looking for in a new ADCC organizer? And I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Kevin. What is it that you're going to be looking for in a new ADCC lead organizer?
Somebody to pull the plug. No. I'm somebody who's willing to work with the community and with the athletes. I want somebody to up the pay. I want somebody to come through and re-energize the ADCC's dedication to integrity among its officials. if I can say that, there's been a lot of like buddy, and it's sort of become this thing where we kind of know who's winning the close calls. We know who's winning the decision. We know who's getting the points. And it's the new wave guys. The new wave guys are going to win it. And then there's a handful of other major teams that play ball with flow. Those guys are going to get knocked. Come back in and actually say, hey, are we a sport or not? Do we want fairness? Do we want, egalitarianism? Do we want to actually have a sport? And if not, just pay people well. That works for boxing. They don't have integrity, but everybody gets paid. That's good. I'm cool with that one too. Pick.
Thank you for that. By the way, I like that you say that when I just happened to tune on boxing last week and I look up on the screen, I go, is that Sierra? Is that Busta? Is that Missy? They got the whole tour? Holy shit. And then everybody looked at me and they're like, isn't this dope? And I was like, I mean, if I had the budget for it, I'd do this in grappling. We just do not have that budget. So you're right. I mean, it was a giant spectacle, but the reason you look at it and say like, all right, fine, is because you go, oh, I guess they can afford it. So kudos to them. Tim, what are your thoughts? What are you looking for in the next ADCC organizer?
I think we want somebody who is an ADCC athlete, like an ex-athlete, somebody who has competed in ADCC. It would be nice to have somebody who has deep roots in the jiu-jitsu community, but also has a wrestling background, because I think that is one of the lifelines of professional no-gi grappling that you need to have connected and open. You need to be working with the wrestling community, not against them. Someone that's not religious about the gi versus no-gi thing, I mean, that's not going to play out very well. And I know you didn't ask for this, but I know who it's going to be. All right. This is somebody, and I'm being serious. I've heard some intel. This is a guy that is a director right now of ADCC. He's the vice president of grappling for one. That is the one Tom DeBlas. He's a man of many personalities and hats, and he might be the next candidate to be tapped to step into that role to be the organizer for ADCC. We got to find out. I don't know. He might not, but he might be. So
I have said team just based on relationships, like the next in line. I being a spokesperson, it did look like Mo was paying people secretly under the table, and I guess that's really going to be something that comes to light, because I know Tom's got money, but not like money. Like, you know what I mean?
He's got BJJ Fanatics money, dog.
He definitely does, but I think Tom is thinking about 2045. And like that retirement money goes up a little bit more when you don't get a return on investment in grappling in this current day and age. So I'd like to say this, though. It would beg the question, was Mo using some of that ADCC money to funnel money to those athletes, allegedly? We don't know these things. Let me just say this. All right, what are we looking for in the next ADCC organizer? If you're me, you're looking for somebody who's easy to deal with in terms of media obligations and media rights. Here's what that means. One of the things that Mo was starting to do very well was, for years, you couldn't use highlights in your social media packages if you were an athlete, because they belong to Flow. So it would be nice if we extend on the relationship that we have with our athletes, but not becoming buddy-buddy. And I agree with that point that was made here earlier. I think we need to have a more professional stance. Definitely encourage the athletes, take it a step further, but let them have some ownership in terms of, hey, they're their own entities. They don't need to be taken to the executive suites or given fancy stuff. Just pay them like respectable athletes and watch the interest grow that much more. Additionally, I want to point this out. Whenever we do media passes or media credentials, in years past, I have seen the inconsistency that we've had in terms of credentialing certain people over others. I'd be happy to go back in some way, shape, or form, but I've also seen people who got credentials who didn't necessarily fit the description of what they were looking at. And I think that goes a long way. Look at the media that actually works with and work with those people, because the stance of the previous administration was, and guess what? The big names never showed up, and they didn't know who the fuck they were talking about other than Gordon. So I think we're at an age now where if you do want to grow the sport, invest in those entities. And guess what? If you are bringing those people who do have a knowledge of the sport, the coverage of the sport gets better and not as garbage-tastic as it currently is. So that would be my ask. I would also ask one more thing, which is this. I would love to see the next head organizer have a better detailed plan for distribution. I do not know that flow grappling is your future, but if it is, you will not grow the sport. I think you need to have a multi-tiered solution. Doesn't mean that flow can be kicked out entirely. Maybe you have some sort of contract that says something different. But if you're not looking at the trends that are happening on different streaming services, you're doing a disservice to ADCC. And I feel like those are the things that you say, like when you have a responsibility to that organization, fiduciary responsibility. I think that's included in getting a better streaming rights package. So I would love to see our sport have that. And I'd like to come back to BMAC's note here very simply, which has put it in there. And a lot of people wonder if this is the case. Could Craig Jones become the ADCC World's organizer? And that would be really had a great relationship with the athletes. I think the only thing that gets weird about it is similar to Mo's involvement with ADCC, he didn't invent ADCC, but he did invent the Craig Jones Invitational. And at which point it would be a collapsing of a conflict of interest. So I think he wouldn't be able to put that time and space into truly growing the sport the way that they did with the ratings and the looks and eyeballs that they got with ADCC's, opponents, Craig Jones Invitational, because I think ADCC might have actually gotten a little, not offended, but a little in their feels about that event. If I was guessing. And I might be. Who knows? Nonetheless, we also got another super chat here, and I'm going to bring it up because this does revolve around Kevin. Wallow J gave us $9.99, not even $10, by the way. And it says, super chat, super cuts, and shave. Hashtag bring handsome back. So I don't know in what neighborhood he's going to that you get a $10 shave and haircut. But if you really want to desecrate the handsome one, you would do a disservice with those just $10. I don't think that's going to get you much in a barbershop.
My barber specifically asked whether I was getting it shaved. I've got a haircut lined up right before the PGF. The same one that commented online and was like, you need to put something in your hair, messaged me yesterday and was like, are you shaving that? Are we doing that when you come in for the PGF?
Listen,
Are
no.
shaving all of it?
Take that $9.99 and go get that thing lined up. Get it shaped. You can come out of there,
buddy, on a handsome scale of 1 to 10 for each photo. And that way it'll be like, hey, I really didn't like my power rank. And I'm like, well, maybe you should spend some more time fixing your face. Nonetheless, I'm going to go to our next topic here, but I wanted to bring this in from Wallow because he said, you've never heard of super cuts. It's like the McDonald's of hair cuttery, which, by the way, nice adverbing there, sir. I do appreciate the hair cuttery as a nice little descriptor there. All right. Gents, we're going to advance the board, but do you have any last notes about this whole ADCC thing? Because it really has been the talk of the town this week, and we don't know much, but we do know it will live on. So any other further thoughts before we go?
I think they're going to let it set for a while, probably, and let the buzz die down a little bit, get their ducks lined up, kind of figure out what the questions are going to be whenever they announce whoever the new person is and have some answers for that first before you make the announcement. But who knows? This is ADCC. They might not. You know, they might announce tomorrow. We don't know.
I think you're spot on with they need a multi-tiered strategy. We've compared it as far as like multiple places to stream it, watch, tune in. We've compared it to the NBA before, where the NBA has sort of embraced the new generation's willingness to give them free marketing by doing edits for TikTok, various other things. That's all free marketing. Social media can do it for you, and it needs to be a part of their growth plan.
I mean, the reason I bring it up is I'm trying to watch the World Series now, and sometimes my TV says you have access to this, you don't have access to this. But it's because they split up those packages, and it's not great for the fans per se, but they get more money from that. And hasn't that been an issue we've had here in grappling, that we don't make enough money for production, for the teams that work it, for the athletes? And a lot of sports make their money off of how they sell their media rights. So I feel like when you talk about somebody who goes, I'm taking care of the athletes, and I go, well, that package is part of how you take care of your athletes because it gets more eyeballs. Again, I go, well, that money never goes back to the athletes. And there is no collective bargaining. There is no way to get that money into the pockets unless it's in secret, and certain athletes aren't bitching about it when others are like, hey, bud, I got eliminated first round and I'm in debt. So just something to consider when we say things like, no, you guys don't understand. You can never possibly understand. I think a lot of us are born in an age where we are fairly savvy about deals and how other sports work. And being told that it doesn't necessarily work for our sport is like, well, why not? Just saying. Moving forward. Let's go to our next topic right here, which is a nice little recap of what happened over at Pit Submissions. And I'll start with you, Tim. Tim, what the hell happened at Pit Submissions last week, sir?
Some pretty exciting things happened. The three dudes that I thought would do exciting stuff did. AJ Agazarm came out with double nunchucks, dude. He probably learned from Nick Diaz. He was boom, 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 boom. He had both of those going. He won his match. He looked good against Peter Frank. And then Daniel Sattler hit a flying triangle armbar off of the pit wall. May or may not have been power bombed in the process, but ended up with the sub. It was a beautiful, exciting submission. And then we got to see Wagner Rocha beat the snot out of Colon Sabino for talking smack about submitting her son Achilles a few years back when he was 15. Wagner put the hurt on this guy. He dropped elbows. He did knee on the jaw. He power doubled him, speared him. It was a beautiful, beautiful Wagner Rocha match. And in the end, he tapped him with the Kimura. It was a very, very great event. The athletes really came out to get after it. That was a good one. If you haven't watched that, it's free on YouTube. You should check it out.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And, you mentioned some good things here, but whenever I see stuff like that, I just always think to myself like, yo, it does seem like you missed out a little bit. But when I heard somebody tell me off air, they were like, yo, I don't know if you guys saw, but AJ had a great match. I remembered thinking to myself, I was like, he did? Oh my goodness. Well, good for him. That's awesome. But that's not a sentence you always hear from fans on the internet specific to one AJ Agazarm. So there was that. But I would ask this, Kevin, did you see any there? And did you see any use of that? Did that start opening up your mind with that Hurricanrana attempt into a triangle armbar to things that you could start putting off into the submission pit itself?
I don't know who sees Daniel Sattler on a raised surface and doesn't expect the leap. That man charged it. He may as well have screamed Falcon Punch right before he jumped. You had to know that was coming. I'm not trying to tell somebody how to grapple their match, but if you see him line up and looking like the kid on the brick wall at school, where he's he's thinking about how high up he is, maybe take a couple steps back, bro. Just let him come down off the wall. I saw that Wagner settled Family Feud Volume 2.
Yeah, he did.
If you shove the guy at weigh-ins, you have to win the fight, and that did not go that way. That's actually the second. It happened on UFC as well. There was a guy. I think it was a really good card. I think it was a fantastic card. Good for AJ. There was a little chatter going on in the PGF Season 6 roster chat beforehand. I think AJ has completed his face turn. I think people like him. Again. He went through a little villain arc era after getting kicked off the stage by Wagner, and it all comes full circle back on another card with Wagner. This would have been a great spot to try and kick him off, but that's not his persona now.
I do love the idea of being like, of the places to kick AJ off of, that he might have made a comeback here. He might have been okay. So I will tell you guys this. I am intrigued by your thoughts on that, but I look forward to the next pit submissions. Thank you so much for that. We will move on and press on to our next topic at hand. And gentlemen, you know, I'm very stoked to talk about this, but out in Long Beach this weekend, there's going to be the AIGA trials, and there's a whole bunch of teams. And in fact, some teams that I didn't know that were in contention that are not there this week that could have been there, but didn't know that until somebody was telling me something off air. What I should tell you, though, is they do have 6 teams, and it is kind of confusing on how this whole thing works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post some of these team names in a second, but I'd just like to get your initial feels on the AIGA event. I'm going to start with you, Tim, on this one.
Well, you know, listen, AIGA is interesting to me. It really is. When you look into it and you read about it and you kind of sort it out, it's interesting, but it's a little bit like Arby's. It's just a place that you kind of see and you kind of forget it's there and you don't really stop in to eat. I got to check it out. There's basically 3 teams have already been qualified. The Eurotrash team, I think Kasai went like 21-0 and they're running in Brazil, and then Team Modolfo. So they're already in this finals tournament. This one coming up in just a few days. I think it starts tonight, actually, is like the opening ceremonies. There's going to be a handful of teams fighting to win that last spot to compete at the main event. So there's some pretty good talent. There's a team from 10th Planet. There's a team from Checkmat. Fight Sports has a team out there. Finishers has a team, and Team Vanguard. So there's some heavy hitter teams and there's some smaller teams, but there's some good athletes in there. It's kind of like a dual meet format. So if you're used to watching wrestling, you'll kind of understand how it works in terms of a dual meet. I think they just need to be a little more out there in terms of getting the information out on how this thing works. It's just a little confusing, man. You can't stay Arby's. You got to move past that.
I've learned in this episode, if nothing else, Tim's appreciation and hate of Arby's in the same sentence, and I didn't know that was a thing until today. I didn't know that he was telling me, like, man, Arby's is a thing. And then we get to the episode, he's like, it's kind of like Arby's. And I go, wait a second. How is this happening like it's Arby's? Kevin, you have been in team scenarios where you've competed on teams. What are you looking for when you are competing on something that is a very team-heavy event, especially for one that is a duels kind of format?
Team events are all about your teammates. They're all about camaraderie. Winning is cool. Like that a lot. That's fun. So having a team that is going to win is great, but I will say, come from them being in the corner and talking shit to me from the corner, like, hey man, chop chop, let's get to it. And suddenly I deliver. Whereas I've had teams before where I didn't really give a shit about these guys back here, so it doesn't really, that's great. It doesn't really matter to me whether they care, if they're like upset at my performance. It doesn't matter at all. Whereas I can't let Paul, Sergio, and Ernesto talk shit to me forever. So you do need a bit of camaraderie that leads you on. Obviously, you want good athletes, but that chemistry matters more than people think it would.
Thank you for that, and I'm glad that you're always somebody who will perform when you go, it's not for me. It's for Paul Ordia. He doesn't have enough in this life. He needs this. This is for Paul right now.
I can't let him have more. If I lose, it's a gift to that man, and he will talk shit to me forever. And that's the only thing I can take from him. That opportunity to just slam me into a dumpster.
That's fair. I do see this. This is from BMAC, who says, me and Tim are certainly at odds when it comes to Arby's. So I do feel, listen, BMAC, big beef and cheddar. It got me through some hard times in college. I have not been back since. Yeah. So, you know what, though? If Arby's came on as a sponsor, full on, I'm A+, I'm back in. But for right now, not drunk RAF ESPARZA does not necessarily need an Arby's trip. But I will say Mama Cheryl says $50 to lose the stash. # bring handsome back. That's your mother coming into this, right?
She's hashtagging it. She's adapted the hashtag.
A face only a mother could love, and it doesn't even pass that bar.
So
Terry Sherrill is the best. She's the best, dude. I love this. This is outstanding right here.
by the way, Mama Cheryl ordered a Grappling Hour hoodie. And by the way, I have not sent a note because I've been waiting for new stock. So my apologies. I am waiting on a Grappling Hour hoodie to send to you very near in the future. But I will tell you, Mama Cheryl definitely did play along the same way that she saw other people were donating cash to us. And she was like, I put in $50. And I was like, well, it's not quite how super chats work, but like we note it and we will accept it in the form of paying Kevin and giving it to us. But I love that she told you, like, yo, most people bet on a lot of things when they get to a certain place. She's coming in being like, no, this bingo money, screw that. This is to get my son to look like an upstanding young man.
I have a theory on the stash here. It looks like Kevin's hair has tamed down a little bit.
It does.
Perhaps did the wild hair migrate to the top of the lip? Like it jumped off and then just like started all making its way down?
They work like magnets. It keeps it anchored in.
That's great.
It says, due to mom roast with an included hashtag next level. It is. I've never seen anything like this on the show. You know what, Tiago, I'll come to your real thing here in a second, but I want to get through this one. It says, I thought it was for Kevin. Well, if it goes to Grappling Hour, it's 100% just going to me. And maybe if I feel the need, I will give it to him. We shall see. And it
Give
said,
him another 25, you might get your sweatshirt.
hey, hold on. Hey, your mom ordered something. You ain't ordered dick from this show, so you can chill.
I work here.
You barely work here. My man showed up an hour late to this work, and then it was just like, what? I was too
Unkept
busy
with a
doing
mustache.
this, man. Regular Kevin shows up on time, but new stash Kevin is late.
Mustache Kevin shows up when he wants.
Yeah,
And it says,
man.
I will send it when I get my gear. You know, that's a fair assessment. I just wanted to make sure you know that I did not forget. So there is that. And it says, team grappling is like working at corporate. Sometimes you must do your job and your teammates as well to keep the company afloat. I mean, no kidding on that. But I do want to bring this up. Why don't we go ahead and start talking about some of these teams? And I thought since nobody knows how the fuck this is working, I would do a service to the community and give you the information that I stole from Flow Grappling. And it says team matchups.
I recognize that font.
Everybody knows that font. It's because you look at it when you're angry. Nobody looks at this font when they're happy. They're always like, how much do I have to pay for your stupid thing? And what is it? What time do I show up? So it says the first matchups will kick off at 6 p.m. Fake time, and the matchups will go as follows: Team Legion versus Team Finishers, Team 10th Planet versus Team Vanguard. Team Legion, the next set is the leadoff versus Team Checkmate, Team Vanguard versus Fight Sports. So now that you know those things, that's a good start, but that's not the whole story here, people. We're going to come back and we're going to give you a little bit more information to let you know, yes, these are kind of the Group A. So there's Group A and Group B. So now you realize at this point, I have to bring these things up so you know what the fuck we're talking about. So yes, the winner of Group A will take on the winner of Group B in the finals. Are we still good? Great. How about we get to know who some of the teams are? Let's do those one by one. And, oh, nope, just kidding. One more. Here is all the information for the times, just to make sure you guys are aware, because they felt like they didn't get it right the first time. Today,
Do we need a
athlete
ceremonial
weigh-ins-
weigh-in?
Yeah, there's a ceremonial weigh-in, bro, because they want to like show off their guns without having to worry if they were too fat. So guess what? You can only see it live on flowgrappling.com, which meant nobody saw it. So press conference happened. Start a competition again for the next 2 days. Will be 4 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. So keep those in mind. The next thing for the teams. Here we go. This is your 10th Planet team with Coach Eddie Bravo. Your team is Chris Crawford, Gio Martinez, Ben Eddy, Andy Varela, Kyle Chambers, Ryan Aiken, and Kevin Burbick. Now, here's the interesting thing on this. You have our PGF Season 6 champion, Andy Varela, in this. You have Gio Martinez, who's, again, a legend amongst himself, so he's good. But then you've got Ben Eddy, a former PGF competitor. You got Kyle Chambers, a future PGF competitor. Ryan Aiken, a future PGF competitor. So amongst this team, you are seeing some interesting individuals who will be in on it. So those are the people that you will see performing for Team 10th Planet. Did anybody have any notes on those before I go to the next team?
That's a solid team right there. Chris Crawford is a young
really
up-and-comer. Kevin Burbich is a big boy. Big Kevin Burbich is a lot scarier than little Kevin Burbich. So, yeah, he's ready to go.
Absolutely. I see this one coming in right here, and I actually have a buddy who's on the backup team for this who was talking some mess to me, and I was like, hey, man, if you win $1 million, I'm coming for your portion. Nonetheless, this is Team Checkmat with Coach Lucas Leitch, and it's Rodoni Barbosa, Igor Morena, Eduardo Cazano, Mateus Luna, Dory, who's also on this season of the PGF, Elder Cruz, who is a beast, and you see Jackson Douglas, not Douglas Jackson. History majors, get that out of your head. And I just saw here, so Bobby 5G said, this was great. It says Team Vanguard is going to be bringing the fire, which thank you for that note. But I do have an update here from 5Gs, which I would have held off on, but this is good information. This is why we have you guys in the chat. Andy Varela is out. He can't make the weight.
Dang. I wonder who they're going to put in his place.
Bro, I don't know. I literally just found this out right now.
I'm asking Bobby 5Gs. He seems credible.
Yeah. I mean, he must have watched a ceremonial weigh-in.
That thing you just posted, can you prove that? It's like, bro, I just posted it.
Put the link in the chat.
Jesus.
He didn't make weight at the ceremonial weigh-in. So
let me point this out. Kevin is the person who doesn't do the homework and is like, is that right? And you go, how would you know? You wouldn't know, dude.
I was sitting there, head down, looking up the teams for this conversation just a minute ago.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your never-ending commitment to this team. This is Team Fight Sports. It is Victor, the video, Angel Morales, Kate Andesinos, Rodrigo Ferragoni, and then Enrique March, Enrique said, Angel Costa. So that is Team Fight Sports right there. And I see BMAC is in the chat who will give us some information and updates on this. And it says they replaced him with Charles from HQ, the dude who does the YouTube beach challenges on YouTube. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
I think it's Charles Rials, I think is his name.
Very cool. Thank you for that update there, BMAC. Appreciate you.
Is he accomplished, or is he the dude who does the beach challenges on YouTube?
Oh, okay. Listen,
I'm just wondering how much of a step down it is.
Oh, you know, what happened to your team, dude? Where's your team at? Tell us the story behind your team.
We would have won.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to regular Kevin, but Mustache Kevin, this whole personality is completely changed. You know, the Kevin that we had here on the show, he was nice. He was an upstanding young man. This kid, wild card. And I love this.
Mustache Kevin drives on a suspended license.
Team finishers with Zach Mislaney, which, by the way, I knew one of these people was on the team, and I'll tell you how in a second. Isaac Cordova, Dog himself, Ray Del Leon. They didn't break up his name as they normally do, right? Or am I just reading that wrong? Anyway, Ray's on it. Keith Krikorian is not on the team. Found that out recently, so there is a replacement for him as well. And then there's Kevin Beering, who's amazing. Good on him. Rene Souza, Hene himself, who I saw at 10th Planet's, New Ground Jiu-Jitsu's open mat on a 10-round Tuesday, where I see him in town. I go, are you on the AIGA? And he's like, yeah. And I go, oh, shit. Okay, good to see you. John Blank and Declan Moody. Now, listen, that's a good team as well. Credit to them. But I want to point this out here. When you say that you should be on this show instead of Kevin's mustache, aren't you busy enough? Like, we would bring you on, but I think you've already got too much stuff going on. Am I right on this, people?
Yeah, he's gonna have to cut out his trips to Arby's. He's gonna do the show.
It's all good to go.
BMAX in the middle of doing a promo and then just kind of makes the time for this show. All right, this is from the Team Legion. Aiden Collins, Mudang. Nope, just kidding. It's Tudang. Don't get that mixed up. Then on this, you've also got Tyler Brown, Maximilian Schneider, Bobby Winther, homie of the show, Sloan Climber, and Brayler Grout. Brayler, who is also going to be making an appearance on the upcoming season of the PGF as well. So a lot of PGF love is happening on this episode. So we appreciate that. Very much appreciate BMAC for offering to come on to the show, but let me get through this first, BMAC, and then we can chat about that. This is Team Vanguard, so this is who Bobby 5G was talking about a little bit earlier. Fabian Ramirez, Flavio Blave himself, John Calistine, David Stolisu, Nicholas Ronan. Oh, Nick's here. I didn't know that. I did see him there. Sean Yadamarco, Jason Rao, and Josh Sanders. So, gentlemen, now that we know the teams, let's talk a few things while I look and see if I can get BMAC on a link here and perhaps bring him on to Skype on for this segment and maybe the next one, which I think he probably realizes why he wants to do them back to back now that I'm thinking about it out loud. But tell me your initial thoughts here as you guys see all of these teams.
Well, you know what? These teams are, yeah, they all look good. These, don't see any of these teams doing well. You're only fighting guys at your weight class, and it is a dual meet format. So it's not always about, do you have all the best guys? It's, do you have the guys in the right matchups? Because if you have guys that are in the right matchups, they don't necessarily have to be the best guys to rack up points. They just have to be better than the dudes they're fighting. So it's a little hard to predict, but you know, I'm a 10th Planet guy. I'm going with the 10th Planet boys. That team looks stacked. I don't know much about Charles with Varela in there. That's a pretty deep lineup. The Checkmat team looks good. The Vanguard team looks good. There's some heavy hitters kind of scattered across the board there. It's a lot of athletes to keep track of, though.
It is. So I thought to organize this a little bit easier. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to organize them because don't forget, it's Group A versus Group B, and there's 6 teams, so you are probably discombobulated as to how this gets broken up. So what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to reassemble these so that you get the Group A group and the Group B group. So in the Group A group, we have Team Legion, so that's Miha. He's over on this side, so that's going to be A. And then additionally on the Team A group, we are seeing you've got Team Finishers and Team Checkmat. So Team Finishers over here, and then Team Checkmat over here. So let's bring these side by side by side, because if you look at it just from this angle and you look at just these, you realize that only one of these teams is going to make it to the finals. Let's take a moment to talk this out. Team Legion, a solid team. I like who they are. Bobby Winther's been a solid ADCC performer at top 16 on both East and West Coast. At the same time, he's got matches against Renee Salza and Dory Own. So those could be some really good panel matches right there. Elder Cruz, John Blank, Sloan Climber. That's a really good set there right there too. And then Declan Moody, Jackson Douglas, and Braylor Grout in their competitive field. This is going to be a very interesting bracket to get out of, guys.
I don't know who replaced Keith Krikorian.
Mm-hmm.
You guys said he's out, but that Finishers team looks like the team to beat. That's like, there's very good athletes, obviously, on all of the lineups, but if you're talking about who's winning 4 out of the 7, that Finishers lineup doesn't look like it has an easy match. All of those guys from top to bottom look like they could come out of there either winning both their matches or at least putting up, you know, a genuine chance to win both their matches. They could theoretically these teams. It'd be tough, but they could theoretically sweep both teams.
Tim, your thoughts?
Competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Finishers is a strong team. Again, I think it comes back up to matchups. It's who you're facing across the board from you, how you hold up. When you have 3 teams in a dual meet, it's a round robin format, right? And then they kind of, I can't remember exactly how they do it to determine who the winner is, but you might have to beat the same team twice in order to be the winner. And then you got to go fight the dudes from the other bracket, which is not going to be an easy task at all. So it's pretty stacked. Is the prize $1 million? Is that what this is to the team that wins in the finals that are in the future?
If they go to the over the seas, then they get the shot at the $1 million. So this is just for the ability to compete. And speaking of just the ability to compete, you know, somebody was watching from the sidelines. He said, "Super chats be damned, not good enough. I want in on this action." People are talking grappling, and not enough people are making enough sense. So I thought I would put the invite out there because he demanded to be brought on, actually. He said, bring me on. And I guess for the next month, I do work for this guy, but I'm Brandon McCatherine. Brandon, what can you tell us about this, sir? What made you so compelled to come on to talk about this particular thing?
Well, I could just tell that none of you guys had ever watched Grappling before, and so I knew you needed some help.
Okay.
I appreciate that, and thank you. And when you're talking like that, if you could center yourself like somebody who's been on TV before, that would be very helpful. Anyway, Brandon.
My bad. I forgot I was producing the show. My bad, dude.
My brother. Let me look at this real quick. That's totally on me. I understand that. Turn your head back around real quickly. I want to make sure that you're able, do a full spin for us. What are you watching there, sir?
That's the PGF Grapplers playlist on YouTube.
Oh, is it? What a funny thing to have promoted in the
He's just getting the views up.
I see what's happening here. All right, BMAC, gun to head right now. Who's getting out of Group A that we have just put up here right now?
All right, Group A. I like the 10th Planet team on first. Oh no, I'm sorry. The
finishers team.
10th Planet B. Yeah, 10th Planet B.
Yeah, 10th Planet B. 10th Planet B.
That might be a stronger team than the actual 10th Planet team.
It's close because
Kevin.
Go ahead.
Kevin, and then they got Declan Moody at their heavyweight, and then Keith. Those are all like serious guys. They're going to win their matches. So with AIGA, it's like team duels. It's always the 60 versus the 60. There's no like possible mixing it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, who's going to beat Keith Krikorian at that weight in the world, much less in this tournament? Who's gonna?
Well, nobody's not going to be there.
Yeah, I was about to say we got word that Keith is not competing on that team.
I didn't hear that one. Okay, well, who's taking his spot? Have we heard yet?
I have not heard yet, and I'm waiting to find that information.
His brother Kenny Krikorian is competing for the card.
What if it is Keith, but he just brings out a mustache and he's like, "I'm Keith Krikorian. You guys have never heard me before. Wow, I'm so good at this too." Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little scared that I was talking trash to Kevin earlier because I know I can't beat him up. So now I'm face to face with him. It's like, oh, well, that might have been a mistake.
Fortunately, he's learning how to be a media guy now, so he's on our side, which means he immediately got worse at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's true. We can hold it over him.
I want to bring this up. BMAC, so you're going with team finishers to get out of Group A. I'm going to go over, Kevin, who do you have getting out of Group A?
Yeah, it's finishers.
Team finishers as well. Tim, you?
Well, I'm not one to go with the rest of the crew, so I'm going to go with Checkmat.
With Checkmat, I feel like you're going off of their history of who they produce and saying like, nah, I might not know them, but that doesn't mean shit. They might be really solid performers. This will just be a big field for us to get an understanding of who and what they do. But it's just so hard to go against this.
What Tim was actually doing was just throwing a proverbial dart and seeing where it landed. He actually has no idea who any of these people are.
He said, I got
Listen, this is a man that eats at Arby's. That's all you need to know. That's it.
Okay, you know what? I'll indulge this. Hold on. I'll put time on the clock for this. BMAC, why Arby's?
Dude, I'll give you just a brief description that'll explain everything.
I don't believe
4 sandwiches for $5. What else do you need to know? I don't even care what's on the sandwich. Like, I'm getting a full day's food. Granted, it may not be food. That's arguable. But I'm getting a full day of not needing other things in my stomach. 4 for $5. 2 sandwiches at lunch, 2 sandwiches at dinner. Right. Fast.
Just fiscally responsible at that point.
They don't make them fresh, dude. They don't make them fresh. All the things you hate about fast food, when they're taken to the extreme, those are benefits, dude. And Arby's has got those benefits, and I present the case for Arby's.
You did present something, and I'm not sure we're going to sit because I was thinking in my head, I was like, hear you out. I want to hear what you have to say about Arby's. And now I think I'm actually more confused because when I heard your argument, BMAC, and you're like, let me present something to you and make you think of something. And I go, what is it? You go, 3 or 4 burgers for cheap. I go, wait, can I counter argue that? 4 burgers for cheap, because we hear them different ways. I hear 4 burgers for cheap and I think, what's going to happen to my stomach, sir? What can you promise me is going to happen to me?
You're from California. That's because you're a fancy California fella.
Oh yeah.
If you grew up in
listen.
a place where they had adult men, then you wouldn't feel the same way. But you got to have like seasonal peanut butter and kombucha and whatever other LA stuff y'all do. You're probably going to put some kale down on you're probably going to go to Arby's and put kale on it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
California.
hang on. This
You too, Tim.
what do you
You're
get?
from California.
That's why I'm coming to Rap's backup right now. Let's go.
Yeah, of
listen,
course.
you get the hypertension
You're never gonna
special.
be from Tennessee, Tim.
Let me just point
All
this
I'm
out
listening
here.
is I'm not eating the catering at the PGF.
Look,
if this man was making
Arby's-
the selection, we're all gonna die.
I just
Attacks for
Arby's
everyone.
sells RC Cola. That's all you need to know. That's it.
They couldn't get a real.
They don't even have a real soda vendor.
There's
Come on.
something about BMAC going off on a tangent and being like, we know real food. And I go, okay, what is in an Arby's big beef and cheddar?
Not food,
Beef
but it's good.
and cheddar.
Okay, cool. Let's put that up to a test and let's break down all of the shit that's in there. Wallow J, where are you in your moment to shine? Wallow J puts the most, hey, you like this food? Fuck you, it's bad for you. This is where he should be. Legitimately, when that dude's like, you know, Skittles are bad for you, I was like, I could have told you that when I was 6, dude. I eat them. Sometimes I want fucking Skittles. I don't care what color dye is in there. I accept death. Thank you.
That's right. And exactly what I'm saying. Sometimes I need 2 to 4 sandwiches and I need them right this second. And I need to be able to pay for them with the change that I can find in my car. And that's why God made Arby's.
I need between 2 and 4 sandwiches, by the way, is the weirdest thing you could give one of our PAs at the PGF. It'd be like, I need 2 to 4 sandwiches. And the kid's like, bro, I'm just trying to live here, man. I'm just trying to do good work. All right.
Drew with that. At some point, I'm hitting Drew with, "Hey man, we need 2 to 4 sandwiches ASAP, right
brother,
now." It's
brother, do that to Drew.
5 or less.
Drew is a sweetheart of a human being, and I appreciate all he does for us. Let's go to
And
He's on it.
he's
He'll do it.
perfect to bully. He's adorable, and that's why we should bully him.
Man, you guys are
terrible
not right.
thing
I'm
to
not
do.
gonna let you bully my man Drew, dude. Come
To
on
your
now.
assistant
That's just
GM,
wrong.
sir.
You guys are wrong. What happened to Brandon?
Tim,
He came in and
Tim,
jumped into
go
this
back to
podcast.
California. Tim,
Evil
go back to
Brandon, man.
California where you came from and quit pretending to be from the South. You're a
Listen,
poser.
I ain't pretending nothing, man. I am never going back to that
That's the
state.
way
I'm
you're talking
staying
now.
right
That's not the way
freaking
California people
here.
talk. I
That's
ain't
where I'm staying.
pretending Nothing. You're a fraud.
Listen up, buddy. All you guys sent us your worst. They all moved out to California for 50 to deal with them. And so now I had to bounce out and I'm here.
Tim
I'm not going
is
anywhere.
going to have a cowboy hat next week on the show.
No, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, in his defense, he is not that.
Anyway, all right. Well, thank you all for your contributions. I'm going to bring us back to our topic at hand, which is Group B, because I would like to move to, I think, the next thing that BMAC is also sticking around for, which is I think he wants to see some rankings, because this man, he loves him some PGF talk.
I do. I might dip out for the rankings.
Oh, so
I
you don't want to be a
give-
part of this. You want to basically.
I don't want to give the appearance that I'm actually like have my hand in it.
You don't have. Listen, bro. I don't even have my hand in this, so you can absolve yourself all you want. You still have to be around it. Let's go to our team vanguard. Fabian Ramirez, favorite play. John, David, Nicholas, Sean, Jason, Josh. A solid team, very there, and I do understand that. Then Team Fight Sports versus. I mean, I'm gonna go here. I think the real two it should come down to here are going to be your Team 10th Planet versus Team Vanguard. So I'll start with you. BMAC, where are you seeing this? Who are you leaning toward on this? Are you going back with 10P again?
Well, that's where my heart is for sure. But man, that Vanguard team looks tough. That Vanguard team looks really good. Josh Saunders is solid, but he'll have to go against Kevin. Kevin's really good too. Kevin's super underrated. Jason Rao versus Aitken. Jason's one of their best guys, but I think Aitken wins that match. Yada Marco, but how does he beat Kyle Chambers? Nick Ronan, and then Nick Ronan's probably going to win that match. Andy's out. Stelescu, him and Ben Eddy, that's a toss. Calistine and Gio. Oh my God, that's an EBI rematch.
Correct.
That's a barn
That's an
burner.
EBI rematch. Or it wasn't finals. Was it semis? Or did they meet?
No, that was the tournament. That was the finals. That was the end of EBI like 12 or something.
And then Fabian Chris Crawford's actually a really good match too. That'll be a leg lock shootout most likely. So yeah, I don't know. I think when you actually marry it out on paper there, I think I do like the 10th Planet team. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because of the way they play.
So BMAC is going 10th Planet A and B. Kevin, where are you going?
I think it's really close between Team 10 Planet and Vanguard. Whoever comes out of that might win the whole thing. I
think so.
see Team 10 Planet has Ryan Aiken beating Jason Rao. I don't know enough about Chris Crawford to say he beats Fabian or otherwise. I'm not sure how that matchup goes. Gio and John.
That's really
Barn. Yeah. You think it's close? Yeah, Ronan's going to beat whoever they put in to back up Varela. He's going to accept the beach challenge and win it. I think other than that, man, I think that's the match to watch, man. I'm going with Vanguard, but I think it's really, really tough. Poor Fight Sports. They're going to have a rough day.
Maybe, but the AIGA rule set, like the way it works. So I actually really like AIGA. I think it's super cool. I went and did 2 of their shows over in Kazakhstan. They were awesome to work with. Their rules they were the first ones to do 3 rounds that I can think of. So they do 3 5-minute rounds. And it's ADCC rules at the end. But in the first 3 minutes, or 2 minutes, you can only score with a takedown. And you can never pull guard.
It in jiu-jitsu where you're like, I think we need to move on. If it's not going to happen here.
With that said, it's got to be Vanguard then.
Interesting. Okay, so that changes your vote then?
Look at the lack of wrestling on Yeah. It doesn't really change my vote. It reinforces my vote. Look at the lack of wrestling on Team 10 Planet. They've got a lot of really, really good submission artists. Like, really good submission artists that can still catch guys, still put them away, for sure. But you have to imagine Vanguard's gonna be leading and gonna be playing from advantage the whole time.
Tim,
what constitutes a takedown? Like, can you jump a sub?
Yes.
And end up on the ground? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's all right. I don't like you can only wrestle for the first 2 minutes. That's like, we're gonna. It almost
whatever you want. You're not gonna score.
Oh, I got you. You can't score. Oh, I guess that's all right.
Could you imagine that? They go, no wrestling now forever.
Yeah.
But if
everyone's on the ground,
if Kyle hits an Imanari roll, Kyle Chambers hits an can he stay on the ground? If he misses it, can he stay on the ground?
Yeah. You just don't get points.
Then they're chilling. Okay,
yeah.
Never mind. Still,
I'm going with the 10th Planet team. Yeah. Listen, as a native Californian, I am going with the team that was established in Los Angeles, California by one Eduardo Bravo. So yeah, we're going with that. Easy money. That's an easy pick for me. I'm surprised that it's not as easy for our native Southern gentlemen.
I'm a hater. I don't know.
No, that wasn't at you, bro. I think that was at the other.
Oh, Kevin, you just jumped on the hand grenade, dude. What's wrong with you?
This brings up a good point. BMAC.
Brandon played that like a ninja.
BMAC, we didn't have this issue as much last year, but I think this year we might need to talk about security for the bullpen team. No reason. Not like an addition.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Oh, my eyes are watering from having to look at you people.
You worried about
go ahead.
Breaking loose, or you worried about them coming after us? I think we'll be okay.
Honestly, both ways, because I've never worried about getting into a fight with anybody, but I don't know about my full team.
I've never worried about it either.
I'm not going to fight nobody.
Well, Tim is the one that gets all the fight videos for this show, so that's A or B. Don't know. Kevin, I would have said you wouldn't get into a fight until I saw his mustache. Now I think like,
Yeah.
and
I didn't say I wouldn't
listen,
get in the fight.
bro.
I said I'm not worried about it.
Oh, okay.
Probation Kevin here.
So, all right. Well, BMAC, do your plug. Tell the people. Remind them, PGF, you're going to see us. What can we expect, sir? Do you have any new thing that you can drop for us? Because I saw you were on the Insiders, guys, and I see you made a little cameo there, and thank you for that. But, like, you dropped a little nugget for them, but you ain't giving us shit yet.
Dude, I'm here.
I know,
I'm
but
here
you're
for you.
telling us. So tell us a nugget.
I
Okay.
am the nugget.
The president.
I'll tell you that we're going to do the draft different this season. So this season, instead of everybody coming up in ranking order, and Tim, I watched your draft last night.
It
You guys-
needed work.
Like you guys went in order. Like we're not going to force, like it's not your pick and then the auction starts. You know what I'm saying? It's just, here's the athlete and we're going to draw them out of a hat basically, or like roll the little spinny ball. Right. And then here comes Ryan Aitken. Start the bidding at 200 and then boom, 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 boom. And then exactly what you did. Where you sent them to the back of the line if nobody bid on them. That's exactly how we'll do that.
Intentional walk. Yeah. We're like
Yeah,
4 balls.
intentional walk.
Yeah.
Call it.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt.
Yeah, so that's going to require the coaches to be a lot more strategic and studied up and know who it is that they want on their team. I like that. It gives the coaches like just extra things they have to do, extra strategy.
More accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can also tell you that we're doing our own standalone fantasy app for the first time this season. And so we'll break that. It's not necessarily ready for, it's not beautiful yet, but it works. And it's at least got our colors and our scheme on it. You know what I mean? And it works. And I'm actually super excited to turn it loose. So this will serve as a demo. It's going to be totally free to play again. Serve this as a demo, and if we get this right, start dialing it in, then we're basically going to have our own Jiu-Jitsu fantasy app that we can take and apply across any promotion.
Selfish question. Where can you download it? Good question.
No, it'll just be a web app for right now for this season.
Okay.
Got it. Important selfish question here. How is the presentation of my championship belt being made? Is it made on the draft? Like, I would like to start business with belt around. And I know you say you have it. I just want to make sure that it is in transit to me so that when we start the show, let's look at this. Hold on. Is this the first time I get to see this? Oh my, look at this.
Of the season 5 belt.
Oh, okay. So it's a replica, but hey, listen, it's a belt's a belt, dude. Nobody complains about that shit.
Well, no, it's the same one that we gave for season 5. I guess it's just a reissue, is what I should say.
Yeah, that's fine. No, it's belt classic. I get it.
Yeah.
You have no idea the rage it fills me with that RAF is going to have a PGF belt and I'm not.
you do have one. You have the custom made handsome belt, remember?
Yeah, I
from like season 3.
It was like, wait a minute. If you're talking about offhand belts, you, sir, need to chill. I at least won that. Thank you. Well, you know what I mean? Like one. The science is still out on that one. BMAC has now gotten to the part where he is the dad that left on his camera. Unless he
Joe Biden us, dude. He walked off the stage, man. What the hell?
Look at this, please. Oh my goodness.
This one's serious. This one's serious, dude.
It's beautiful.
I don't even actually want to think about again how much these 2 belts for this season cost me. But man, wait till you guys get your hands on this thing. It's the coolest one that I've ever seen. It's amazing.
Well, we will definitely be promoting that and showing that. BMAC, the boys here and I, so excited to be a part of season 7. We appreciate you for putting it together, sir. We're going to get into some rankings here, and then I'm sure you're going to have some thoughts and feelings on that. But we're looking forward to it, and we'll do our draft next week. But, sir, thank you for all that you do. We appreciate and love you very much, sir.
November 3rd through 7th, free to watch on YouTube. we started that. We were the first free to watch on YouTube. We're giving away $100,000 all for free on YouTube. And then on Friday, we're going exclusively to Fight Pass for the playoffs for another $20K. I'll catch you guys on the other side. See you in Vegas.
See you in Vegas, brother. Talk to you soon. Brandon and Catherine, everybody. All right. Well, that was an unexpected delight. Willing to take the little excursion on that one. And I see this note here, which is carnivore is the way. Well, you tell that to my blood pressure, sir. Not against it. Love meat. Would eat it all day, but I got to vary it. So awesome. Very excited for all that to happen. Let's go to our next one here. Gentlemen, I think it's time to get into our rankings. So before we do this, I just want to say a couple words here, guys. You made these rankings. I'm nervous to unleash them because the internet obsesses over these rankings. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here right now. And I'm going to have you talk through it. I'm going to have Tim, you're going to start it off. So tell us a little bit about your rankings here, sir.
Wait a minute. I got to confirm that these are indeed the rankings that I sent
you have to confirm. You're the one that wrote them. I just went what you wrote.
Hey, listen. I don't want no weird misinformation stuff going out. Last year, I got... Good Lord. Okay. Yeah, these are my power rankings. You know, these are the Tim Freeman power rankings. So settle your jets, all right, if you get offended by them. It's not that big of a deal, okay? I got Ryan Aiken at number 1. I just think he's in a good place grappling right now. I think he's built very sturdy. He's got the right size for that division. He gets a lot of subs. He's a super duper hard guy to deal with, and I think he's going to find success. Kyle Bain, got him. Am I supposed to talk through every guy, by the way?
No, just give me your top 5 because I need to give Kevin some time to look at yours, and I'm going to open it up to him in a second.
Kyle Bain has competed everywhere. He's done everything. He's super crafty. He gets subs. He's going to be super difficult to deal with. I also think he's going to place pretty high in the point totals. Same story for Chris Wojcik. I think, and he's one of the nicest guys. He's a real professional. He's got a Substack with like 3,500 subscribers. Pretty cool. I think it's called like the Grappler's Diary or something like that. Check him out. Free plug. Sorry about that, Raf. And then, to Kevin's chagrin, I have Paul Ardea. Pronounce his dude's last name. Ardea. Okay, that's what I thought. I'm surprised. There's not a double L in there. It's interesting. Okay, so Paul is, there's that are good grapplers, and they grapple. You see them out there, and then they'll like beat up producer scrub grapplers, and they'll say like, "Oh, I want to get in the game." And then there's guys like Paul Ardea, right? And then it's just like there's Arby's, and as we heard last week, there's Five Guys. And Paul is a Five Guys kind of guy. So for sure, he's in my top 4. And you can't go against Elijah Carlton, another one of Handsome Kevin's really close, tight best friends.
Love that guy.
Elijah Carlton, multiple-time winner, PGF. He did really well last season. I picked him number 1. I got a lot of heat for that, but it turned out that I was more right than everybody else. So I'm going with Carlton at number 5. That rounds out my top 5. Once you get out of the top 5, man, all bets are off. So
actually, I think they start a little bit sooner than that, but I'll get to that in a second. BMAC is already taken to the streets to let you know he has feedback. That's why he had to rush out of here. He wanted to screenshot these, nibble over them, and let me see who says what about what. He also had this very funny comment, which I do have to put up here because it is at my expense, but I do think it is funny. Love meat, would eat it all day. Okay, out of context, I get it. You're a child. Let's move on. I want to bring this in, though. Kevin, I'm going to give you 1 minute to look at these and poke holes in any of Tim's picks.
I don't need the minute. I can go right into it. I think these are the ravings of a madman. I think he's far, far off. He has a handful of these where he's done very well, but I do think both Tim and I saw Eggs, free plug, Eggs rankings had Andre Porfirio, I believe at 15. He had him at 15 as well. I think that's crazy talk. Porfirio's really, really dangerous. I think there's a handful of these other ones that are maybe missing. I will say the top 4, that's pretty competitive. I don't understand why Adam Bradley is seated so low. I think he's in head-to-heads. He's beat Kyle Bain twice.
10 seconds.
He's beat a lot of these people. I think you're underrating Travis Thomas. Davis Asare, insane. I think we're missing out on a lot of talent here.
Thank you for that. Tim, do you have any response to anything he brought up there?
Yeah, he didn't poke holes in anything. He just said that I got the top 4 right, and he's not sure why Bradley's number 7 because I don't like his name. No, I don't know. I wasn't exactly sure where to put Bradley. I actually had him up higher, and then I started sliding dudes higher, and he shifted down a little bit. I had Brailer in the top 4 initially as well, so I don't know.
There's some 10th planet bias going on here or something, man.
Well,
they all
you know
got
what?
Those extra bumps. Bradley got, Bradley and Paul got thrown to the wolves.
So it says here
baby.
that
I gotta do it this way. Here's my
responded and said, now that you're unmirrored, you can go that way. Yes. Dory's the first person to ever win a jiu-jitsu tournament from the losers bracket. So that is true. And it says can't overlook the grind. So I think he'll get through the tournament. That's not something I really doubt. And that's a tough statement to make because just getting through that week is an accomplishment into itself. Having said that, we're talking about points and scoring high amount points against some of the guys in this bracket may be hard to do. So I do believe he'll be trying to look for chokes, which tend to be higher, but that is a consideration on perhaps where he is in the ranking. So just to kind of bring up how Tim brought these together. But why don't we go ahead and take a moment to look at Kevin's rankings. So Kevin, walk us through your top 5. Your time begins now.
Discussing top 8. Who's going to score your fantasy team the most points? I've spoken to a few of these guys to get insider information on how they're preparing for this, how they're approaching it, what they're looking for, what their mindset is. I have Adam Bradley at number 1. I think we see the same Adam Bradley. He assured me we see the same Adam Bradley that submitted big, smooth, lightning fast. He said, I can play however I want, and I understand the rule set. So I have Adam Bradley at 1. He has beat in head-to-heads everyone else that he's had a head-to-head with that's in this 20. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. Twice. He's beat Ryan Aiken. I think he's beat Chris Wojcik, I think was the other one he threw out. I can't remember. The only one he's lost to is Paul Ardea, and that was this past East Coast Trials. I have Paul so low because he's only had a handful of sub-only matches, and I think the rule set is something he may struggle with. He's had like less than 10 sub-only matches, and we've seen the PGF rule set throw people for a loop. A lot of underscoring going on with some of the most talented guys last season. Kyle Bain's a murderer. You have to have him up there. He's great. He's got a perfect style for this. Chris Wojcik as well. Andre Porfirio is going to score a ton of points. He's great at winning shootouts, and there's a lot of guys who will willfully enter the shootout with him that he's going to tap. He's excellent at taking other leg lockers to positions he doesn't like.
Sorry, Kevin.
I think he's just, listen, I gave Dory 14 for grit or whatever. Like,
so hold on. You are trying to make your way through it, but
he's went through the whole damn thing.
He did. And you know what? I had to cut it off at 2 minutes. Once I saw I was going to get to 2, I was like, all right, you're done here. But to your credit, Sam, maybe he didn't spend the whole time talking about his intelligence instead of the athletes. But I argue the reason he wanted to go through all 20 was to say, look how smart I am. So maybe you're not too far off here, but I do notice, and perhaps I'm wrong here, perhaps I'm not good at math, I do see 19 names. So what exactly is happening here, Kevin? Are you missing anybody?
Shit, I'm
you got a question mark.
Fuck. I'm not sure who I forgot. Whoever I forgot, my apologies. I'm sure you're going to do great. Best of luck to you, or whoever you are. They're probably going to do great. I don't know. 20 might be the right spot. Who can tell? Who can say?
Which, by the way, probably going to do great is the best way to send somebody off. So let's do this. Tim, I'm putting a minute on the clock if you would like to poke any holes through his rankings.
Well, listen, he got inside information from the guy who said he's going to win. Everybody says that they're going to win. So he put that guy at number 1. That doesn't mean anything. He just got done privately, and I'm going to say this, saying how tough Paul is, and then he's like, I had to rank him 3. So I think it's suspect. These are we're getting rankings from dirtbag Kevin right now. We're not getting regular clean cut Kevin. We're getting shady Kevin. We're getting the guy that's got some parking tickets, expired tags, doesn't pay to park. So, I'm not positive. I think not having Elijah Carlton in the list is suspect. I don't know how you rank 20 and only put 19 and only put 19 athletes down. I think you got Brayler too low. I think you might be sleeping on Fedor. I think Kyle Chambers is too low. Those are all guys that could submit people pretty quickly. They got a lot of subs they can hit. So that's why those dudes were on the other side of the column for me. But
Kevin, thank you for that. Your time has expired there. Kevin, do you have any responses to any of what Tim said about your picks there?
I think there's a component of size in this season that is going to be an issue for Fedor and Kyle. Kyle is a pure leg locker, and if you look at the leg lockers that are going to enter entanglements with him, you're looking at guys like Ryan Aiken, who has to have like a, 80-pound size gap on it. Ryan's massive, right? You're looking at Adam Bradley. You're looking at Kyle Bain. You're looking at Paul Ardea. You're looking at Chris Wojcik, Andre Porfirio, all these guys who will choose to enter leg entanglements with him. And then the next question becomes, can the rest of the crop keep him off their legs? Maybe. We'll see. But I think this year it's going to be hard for him to punch up. There is a size gap there. He certainly is dangerous, but that's why I have him ranked so low. His game is legs, and there are a lot of massive leg lockers this season. Fedor, size issue as well. He has an incredibly complete game, but size issue. He was medium size for the 185 season, kind of small, maybe. But I don't think Fedor is the kind of person who can impose a submission on somebody when he has an advantage. Guys might be able to play around him because of their size. Yeah.
Tim, thank you. Thank you for that, Kevin. Tim, do you have any responses to what he had to say for you?
Yeah, I mean, he makes a valid point, but the point that's not being brought up is these guys don't necessarily have to fight everybody else on there because they're going to be teammates with some of these guys. And so their ability to earn points to move up into the playoffs isn't impacted the same way, right? Now, ultimately, if you're going to win in the playoffs, you will have to go through the top 8 guys. But, that's where sizing might even out a little bit. You might not have to fight some of the biggest guys or some of the best guys if they're on your team. Outside of that, that's
top 8 all on the team.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, when I do it. No, what I'm saying is like you don't have to fight these guys for 4 days, right? So those guys got to fight each other. They might not even make it. We've seen guys that are really, really great not make the cut because of the way their competition was stacked up and the matchmaking. They just didn't make the cut.
You can just say my name, man.
I wasn't thinking about you, but now that you bring it up, you make a good point, Kevin.
I'm glad that Kevin said it, not us. It was a good way to kind of decoy him into that because I'm like, listen, dude. I think the thing that people forget when we do these is that our jiu-jitsu athletes are not used to us talking about them as athletes as opposed to just the homies, people, humans. So when they hear these rankings, they're like, how come I'm 19th? Do you not think I'm your friend? And it's like, no, clearly not. I'm just doing a computation. And computations are not fun. So just so that everybody is aware of these things. Kevin, so you put this down here. You are willing to stand by this list. Do you have any pause as to how you did any part of the list? Is there any one of these you wish you could redo?
There's a few I think I may be surprised by, and I had to let them know, just so you know, man, like I am ranking you low. We were talking about they're not used to us talking about them as athletes and looking at their projections where you're talking to them as friends. I train with Paul every week, and I had to tell him, hey, just so you know, I'm not ranking you first. I hope that's cool. He doesn't give a shit. But I like, just, don't kill me, right? I reached out to a few of these guys who I am friends with and told them, hey, just so you know, I reached out to a few of them. to get their takes, and they didn't respond, Marcin. So you got seated low. Sorry. But Cam Hurd, I could see him surprise the absolute shit out of me. I could see Nathan Haddad surprising me. I don't know anything about Stuart Cooper. I told him, like, you don't have the competitive – actually, he told me. He's like, I don't have the competitive accolades to hold up, but I think I'll do well. And I was like, cool. Just so you know, can't defend you with that. Going to put him low. But I think Kimoy's going to yell at me. He's going to be a little upset at me about this. I'm not looking forward to that one. But, yeah. Give him a little thumbs up. Yeah, I think Kimoy's
I want to point this out. Nothing makes me madder than the fact that I cannot really turn this part off. I have read how to do it.
Up.
I have tried to do it, and then I have blocked it for myself so it doesn't do anything when I do it. But I try to turn it off for you guys. For whatever reason, it goes, and it's just something I have to deal with. All right, gents, let me go ahead and move to our next, which is mine. And I want to tell people this, and let me go ahead and preview this list. I stand by this list, but if you have feelings about it, I do not care. These are some best guesstimates based off of current information. So that means that, yes, some of this could change. What I would like to stand by, though, is I feel like the top 8 that I put are likely candidates that you could see in the finale. So, yes, as Tim mentioned, some of this may be you're on a team. All things considered, maybe you don't get certain points because of the way you get matched up. We don't know that yet. But what I can tell you is those next outs I've got with Nathan, experience with him, with Travis, kind of a wild card, could do very, very well. Andre, new to this rule set, but I think has an ability to perhaps surprise us. And Kyle Chambers, I think, are good next outs. When we get anything past 12, to me, those are the people that you kind of have to start making cases for who will be your surprises. Kimoy, having made it to, I believe, a finals in the past, at least gives him some experience over other individuals. And I realize now that is my minute. So, gentlemen, I'll go ahead and give you each 1 minute to go ahead and discuss your potential thoughts about my current rankings. I'll start with you, Tim.
Well, your rankings aren't too far off, in my opinion. I'm not sure about Haddad being ranked so high. He didn't seem like he had size to me when I was around him, but maybe he was cut down at PGF Season 6. He's a sweet guy, so, don't get upset. I know your brother and your dad train and all that stuff. I don't care. Fedor, I think, is a little bit of a wild card. Kevin makes a good point about his size, but he's a guy that's constantly getting better. He's always adding new skills. He's always coming up with new things. So I think he has the ability to maybe pull something off in a way that's, nobody thought Jet Thompson was going to do well either. Sebastian Attard won his way to it through the qualifiers. So I think he definitely is going to somebody that at least has some experience against some of those same size guys. But it's hard to say, Raph. I think you did okay on this list. I had a real hard time placing Travis Thomas, to be honest with you. I like Travis a lot. I just wasn't sure where to slot him up in the power rankings. I think he's making a good run, but he doesn't have a really deep body of work to pull from. I think 10 is a fair spot for him.
Thank you for that. Kevin, your thoughts?
I'm going to bring up 2 points, and they're not necessarily shredding anybody's record. I actually think every ranking I've seen has done a relatively pretty good job. I give you guys shit. But some things I found out while looking to research this, Sebastian Attard has a win over Elijah Carlton. And lest we forget, in a previous PGF season, Travis Thomas outscored Elijah. I have him ranked pretty low as well because he doesn't have a great body of work in pure jiu-jitsu. But he did outscore Elijah without the team points. He would have been the regular season winner. I think he's a great fantasy pickup. I don't know much about Braylor Grout.
So
that's one of my wilds.
Let me give you guys some notes here. Braylor, I mean, he's got the size. I think he could be a surprise. So I wanted to up him to 8 because I feel like he could be that outside shot in. As BMAC occurs, he basically says he predicts he'll make the playoffs. So I believe that given his style and his stature on what I've seen before. I want to go ahead and just talk about a couple things. First and foremost, I believe that Tim wasn't necessarily watching the same documentary I did that reminded me about our time in April at the PGF season 6, which was the fact that Nathan was within a heartbeat's distance of making the actual playoffs. That shows you how close the points could be, but he was able to do that with what? One back take. So if this man is working back takes, that can be enough to be a significant point differentium. You also have to look a little bit more into who attacks legs, which will be breaks versus chokes. So I felt like that was kind of how I differentiated some of these. And I feel like people like Adam Bradley can do well enough, perhaps on some of these. I want to talk a little bit about my lower half here. I mean, Cam Hurd is somebody I want to be wrong about. I like him a lot. I think he's given up a lot of size. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just think that could struggle. And if he's able to implement great, fast strategies, his wrestling pedigree speaks for itself. But the wrestling pedigree can actually become beneficial here for a reason, because our good friend, Brandon McCatherine, is typing with his grubby little fingers right now about the updates to fantasy this year. So it's not just picking who's winning, who's on the right teams. It's also now getting to the point where you will have fantasy updates for takedowns, for other things that you will score. So when we take that into account going forward, that's going to be something that I really want you guys to look at. So I wanted to try and set you up for some success. But by and large, I would tell you this. There's a couple of these I'd be happy to revisit at some point in the near future. But Davis Asari, the question is, how does he do at that bigger size as well? I thought he had a great season last season, number one on points for a number of days. Can you repeat that with people who are bigger? I think he could do some well breaks on this, and I think he can get those points. The chokes might be a little bit harder to come by. And if you're going over to Fedor, I don't know, willing to see if he gets a couple breaks in there as well. Sebastian, I put him at 15 because if you noticed, he did finish all of his opponents at his trials, which was something that Dory didn't do. Stuart Cooper is definitely an X factor, and Caleb Crump could be there too. So I do know this here, and it says Dory, Sebastian, Kaboy, Travis, and Nathan have already had decent success in this format. And I feel like that's good, but I think against these people, you may see Sebastian get a surprise on somebody. I can expect to see that. It's going to get dicier in a few different areas. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at what Brandon did put up here. And his note is fantasy only. Mount is worth 2 fantasy points. Back is worth 2 fantasy points. Takedown is worth 1 fantasy point. Penalties earn a net. Ooh, Kevin, sorry. Should have read this before talking it out loud. Penalties earn 1 negative point in the fantasy. None of this affects the actual PGF scoring. So that's going to be an interesting thing for a lot of people to put into their thing here. Sam, I can hear you out on this. I think that's great. You say all deserve to be ranked, and at least the top half. I think that's an accurate statement, except for one thing. How do they get pitted against each other? What teams are they on? And I go by the law of averages, which say they're not all going to be against each other, at least for the initial couple days. And that may mean they may not go up against each other. And I'm willing to take some bets on how those people will shake out, but we'll see. Anyway, gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for our discussion of the power rankings. Lord be, we don't need to spend more time talking about all of the certainties that will come out of that, because the internet seems to think they know more than everybody else. And that brings us to this. And we're going to speed through the last 2 of these, but I wanted to get to this, which, gentlemen, our debate for today, and both of you will be taking on sides that will expand this universe. But today, we're trying to get to the bottom of a major discussion here in Jiu-Jitsu, which is that it has been proposed that Gordon Ryan and Pat Downey are going to have a match of some sort that will be contested under some sort of rules. People have been talking about it, but I guess the question is, do we really have to do this? Didn't we do this before? So today, Kevin will be taking on the perspective of, well, I don't think we need to see this again. And Tim will be prosecuting the case as to, I think we may need to see this happen. So Tim, you're going to lead us off. I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock, and I will have you start off this, sir. Please let us know why it is you feel we need to see Gordon versus Downey again.
Well, a couple reasons. Thank you. I appreciate being here on this type of debate court process. There's a lot of courts. There's the People's Court, Kangaroo Court, Night Court, but this is Jiu-Jitsu Court. This is Anna Court. Look, This match is exciting. It's a one-off, and it generates buzz and engagement from the jiu-jitsu community. Only one-offs have the ability to do this. If you watch any kind of organization that goes more than one or two shows, if they don't quite do it right, it loses its fizz. But if you do a one-off and you pull in two big names, like the most hated, one of the most accomplished wrestlers, at least in the wrestling world, with a special rules set up for one night only, this is going to generate more excitement as a one-off special match event. We need it. We need something to fill that gap. There's not enough events. Look, we got things going on that we don't even know that they're going on, but something like this is going to catch eyeballs. It's going to generate views, and that's why we need it. That's why it's good for jiu-jitsu.
Thank you for that. Kevin, I'm going to go to you. Why is it that we do not need to see this matchup between Gordon and Pat Downey?
Thanks, Raph. I appreciate this. Ladies and gentlemen of the internet court, I believe we have already seen this. You can't try this again. This is double jeopardy. This is ridiculous. We've done it before. Is there anyone in the world that thinks Gordon out-wrestles Pat Downey? No? Thank you. I didn't think so. You hear those crickets? Nobody thinks Gordon's going to out-wrestle Pat Downey. Does anybody out there think Pat Downey is going to out-jiu-jitsu Gordon? I don't think so either. Additionally, can jiu-jitsu afford to endanger one of its most valuable competitors in Gordon Ryan by bringing him into freestyle wrestling? And I'm not...
No, not enough people are out there saying protect Gordon Ryan, so I'm glad that you're taking up that case. I'm going to go ahead and open this up to cross-examination, and I'm going to start this with you, Kevin. Kevin, you can go ahead and break down the case that was proposed by Tim Freeman. You will have 1 minute on the clock starting now.
Tim would lead you to believe that a one-off is a bonus. It's a value add. But historically, one-offs only have value when they're unique. There's something different. There's something we haven't seen before, and there's narrative and context behind it. We've seen this before.
Counselor, this is your closing statement. Can I get you to do cross-ex to Tim right now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's just your time. You'll have 30 seconds to ask any questions that will be poking holes in your argumentation. Go right ahead, Counselor. We'll start with this. Did you pay attention to anything that Tim said?
Yeah, I sure
did not.
I was not made aware that there was going to be cross-ex.
I just don't want his take on it, man. I don't need him. No.
This is Mustache Kevin. We're dealing with people. Okay. Well, you've excused all of your time here, so there is that. Sorry about that. Let's go to you, Tim. You may poke holes in the case of one KEVIN Sherrill. Time begins. Thank you. Can I ask you a question, Kevin? Would you agree that a lot of people, maybe a majority of the jiu-jitsu community, likes to watch Gordon Ryan?
Yeah.
Would you say that it matters if he wins or loses?
No.
Then why do we need to protect him? He does not need to be protected. We need to run him out there as often as possible against the baddest, meanest dudes, of which Pat Downey is one of. We see him spear Luke Rockhold into the pit wall. This is the match that we need to see. We need to see it. People would be happy to watch Gordon win, or I would venture to say more people would be happy to watch him lose. He doesn't need protection. He needs to be ran out there repeatedly. Let's milk this cash cow.
Can I get a mulligan minute?
You know what? I feel really bad for you because if you don't get this, you will be losing, Counselor. I will tell you how I'm leaning currently, and that is not something you do in court. But okay, let's give you your mulligan minute because I don't think it's competitive in this moment. So yeah, your mulligan minute begins now.
So in order for this to be the spectator event we need a draw on both sides. Tim, do you think you'd recognize Gordon Ryan?
Yes.
Tim, do you think you'd recognize Pat Downey?
Absolutely not. I didn't recognize him as
Objection.
CJI, and I was talking
Asking
to him.
too difficult the questions for our sport. I'm going to ask you to rephrase the question, please, sir.
Do you believe Pat Downey is someone that people would recognize on the street, namely you?
No.
I don't believe Pat Downey is a draw. I don't believe he draws the eye because, as far as we know, he hasn't. We are members of the media. Our job is to know these people, and we don't recognize this man. I think it would be tough to build a card. Let me fight Gordon.
Wait, why are you? No, hold on. Overruled. We're going to go now to our closing statements. Tim, you were supposed to go first, so I have to let you go first. Do you have your closing statement prepared for us, sir?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Kevin would lead one to believe that you need 2 big stars to sell a Gordon Ryan match. You don't. You could have Gordon go out and fight a sack of wet laundry, and people would tune in to watch it. It doesn't matter what the opponent is. Today is about adapt or die. You can't go out there and do the same stuff that your grandpa did. He dead. Nobody wants to see those formats and those rules and those repetitive things. We don't care. We want to see one-offs. We want to see special rules, of which they haven't been spoken yet. We don't even know what this match is going to have. It could have a moat. It could have a pit. It could have alligators. It could have a 2-on-1. It could have an eating contest. Who knows? That's what we need. That buzz, that excitement. Gordon Ryan versus Pat Downey is getting rizzed up by me. Let's go.
Thank you for your statement. You do have 14 seconds left. Did you want to say anything to finish?
Yes. I would say that, we all like CGI, and that was something different, and it was something awesome, and it's going to be the same thing. Gordon versus Pat Downey.
That was CJI, not CGI, CAGI.
Same thing, man. It's all the same, dude.
Not to people who work in the industry, so just very clear. And one is kind of expensive, one is really expensive, and I'll let you figure out which one is which. Kevin, do you have your closing statement prepared?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You have 1 minute. Your time begins now.
Yeah, Tim would lead you to believe that this one-off match has a draw to it. But listen to his closing statement. Listen to what he listed. He listed a moat. He listed alligators. He listed all the things that aren't actually these two doing jiu-jitsu. I agree. I would love to see Gordon Ryan fed to alligators. That's crazy. That would be wild. I would definitely tune in. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Pat Downey and Gordon Ryan running it back in the most one-sided wrestling and grappling matches we've seen in recent times. At a certain point, if you're just going to have a fill-in name drop in to fight Gordon Ryan, make it a real celebrity. Make it a different guy. Make it anyone else. I don't understand the need to run it back and see what we've seen before again. Unless we add alligators that we are feeding the greatest star in jiu-jitsu to.
Do you have any last seconds that you're going to use here?
Go Braves.
Okay, that was wait. They're not even in.
They're not even in the postseason, dog.
I want to be very clear. I'm going to make this ruling very quickly here, and it'll be very simple. Gentlemen, good work, excellent work from both of you, as apparently you have learned how to become better educators on this one. I would start with this. Tim, you bring up fascinating points between why do we need to protect Gordon Ryan? That's a fascinating point. Kevin, you also outlined an important detail here, which is, who are these people? It's not just dementia, but it's a great way of responding to the idea of, is this worth our time? Given all of your weighted arguments and the fact that, yes, both of you made compelling points in this court here today, we are inclined to rule in favor of one Tim Freeman. One, because he understood the assignment. That is really all we're ruling on. His ability to read the primer that of you on how to literally do this, literally with examples and
that's what I just followed it.
Case study here. The astoundment of you going, I'm ready for my closing statement, and I go, wait, no, that's the third thing. It was hard to come back from.
Tim? I was like, no.
No. Why would I ask him?
Like cross-ex, ew. cross-X, I'd hardly walk in front of him, less cross him.
I don't have
We just stare at
unprotected
each other for a
cross-X.
minute. I pull out my Chick-fil-A for the minute. Just too much.
I legitimately would have been a better use of your time. It was just, I was
Get on
like,
the phone.
this is the
It
longest
would've been a
setup
better
question
use of
I've ever heard in my entire life, where you go, now my opponent will allow you to believe, okay, let's see where he's at. There's no question. Gentlemen, both great work on this one. We are
Thanks,
so
Kevin.
drastically over time that
Yeah,
I
you did
will
good.
do this. I will just put on the fight video. We will all get a chance to pinata it, and then we will call it a day. But I would like to say leaps and bounds better than last week's debate. So even though we didn't hit a proverbial home run, we at least can say it was a debate this time. So on this particular venture, Tim, before I pull up this fight, is there anything we need to know for the context of this one, sir?
Yeah, these are two very old men fighting, and they fall down a lot. And every time they do it, I cringe because I'm afraid they're going to break a hip. But pretty resilient old dudes right
All
here.
right, let's get to these old people at hand, and I'm going to have you here, one Kevin Sherrill, walking us through what is happening with them old people on our TV screen right now.
Well, we all love an executive division super fight. Let's see how this one plays out. Oh, wow. They bounced off each other. You got like video game physics. Guys, you felt this. Oh, technical stand-up at play. He used a little kick. He's coming up with a technical stand-up. This man's trained. Ooh, we've got an obstacle on the field. He doesn't pause. He almost had it. Another technical stand-up win for this man. It's crazy. The technical stand-up is winning this fight. Do your break falls. Do your technical stand-ups. They say they don't work in the streets, but clearly they do. Clearly they do.
Can I bring up something here? This is, hold on. Before I let you go on here, can we bring up the fact that some dude had enough time to walk through the entire scene and be like, yeah, you guys are fighting. I got somewhere to be.
He like didn't even pause. He didn't break his stride, dude.
The zoom here is
A
immaculate.
reverse
He gave him,
hook. You
that's
don't
the
see that
1-2,
every
man.
day. A little back. He's fighting both of them. And he has the time to, because it takes him 5 seconds to throw a punch.
Why is there a second person?
Another dude walked by.
Not only
They're
a
fighting
second
in a
person,
parade.
but this dude has
Dude,
a
he's
man
behind a
purse and has enough
barricade
time
now.
to be like, hey, girls, great work. Keep it up. So
He's moved to a fortified position behind the curb. They can't hurdle that.
I mean,
This is
He'll fall
strategy.
down stepping
This
off
man
that
read
curb.
The books, the works of Sun Tzu.
Tim, this is now firmly your piece of art. Please give us your breakdown of it.
The reverberation off the punches when they hit, dude hits him, he falls down. That's fall number 1. Or he's like, this is classic jackets versus vests, by the way. Fall number 2 is even more dramatic than fall. And he's feeling good now. Jacket guy's feeling good. He's like, this is my side of the sidewalk. Don't come up. He's like, I'll come up. I'll hit you again. Oh, shit. He fell down. And he takes out the bystander in the process. He takes out vest. And then white shirt guy, look, he just pushes him out of the way. Get out of the way. He wrestles up. And they're going to go at it again. And he hits him with a nice left-hand throat punch. Boom. Take that, geriatric. And then he eats one for his trouble. And then he eats a kick. And he lands a kick in the process. And other dude uses the pole as the stand-up. That's a nice move. Handrail. And now jacket guy's getting in a little skirmish with the ref. And now they're talking. And then we see passerby is like, nope, not getting involved in that. Don't want no beef. And they kind of engage in a little Wing Chun back and forth here. You see he hits him with a 1-2. Pretty good. He did block it with the throw your hands up like you don't care. And then one of the guys from the athletic commission walks by in a second here, and he's got all their medical papers in his bag. And he's like, I'm off. I got to get these to the head office. And then jacket guy calls a truce.
Let me see if I can walk you through this. I want to just take one stab at this because there's so much that happens here, Tim. You put this with so many Easter eggs that on IMDb, that's trivia page has like 20 different entries. But let me see if I can give you the run through. So, okay, this starts with a nice push kick, and then it's a chop block. And you think to yourself, this is between these two gentlemen. we got to let this pass. But no, this gentleman here who's walking out of the building goes, none of my business, getting out of here. Now this grandpa with the blue pushes down ex-grandpa number 2 and says, you stay down there, you bitch. I have the higher ground. Comes in and hits him so hard, he goes down. New grandpa number 3 is like, hey, bud, can I help you up? Another dude goes, nah, you don't get this. This is between us. And I think took a hit before Dick Van Dyke goes down too. So this is a real conglomeration of, you have to feel for the dude who's on the floor making his way up thinking like, what the fuck did I get into? I just tried to help this dude up. Now I'm in the middle of a multi-tier fight, which by the way, past 50, no spinning back, kids. None here. And you want to say the sweep wasn't effective? I beg to differ. This is the most Steven Seagal sweep I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it is.
Barely touched him. Now, nobody talks about the fall down, can't get back up. This gentleman has to brace for the next 3 years worth of movement. Makes his way back up to a standing position, and everybody thinks about it. Walks, says game on 2 seconds later. And then it's just a bitch slap to finish it. And this is what I love the most. This is when you know the most disrespect has happened, was with somebody gets slapped like this. And yet none of these people are telling me to go to Magic Mountain, surprisingly. So I tell you this as a concerned viewer, please take care of your elderly here, people. They don't deserve to be put in clips like this. If you let your grandpa
take care of them,
get into a clip like this, you really don't care about them. So, gentlemen, normally when we close up, I go to individual shots here. We're just going to close it up with 3 of us. So go ahead and go here. Let's start first with handsome Kevin Sherrill. Oh, I'm sorry, just Kevin Sherrill. We did lose the handsome title.
Oh, that's fighting words. Oh, that's...
Lost it in this
bad
episode.
Boy Kevin Sherrill. Girls like the bad boys
bad
too.
Boy Kevin Sherrill is actually not bad.
Yeah,
we have a bad boy story later, but for now, come see me in American Top Team Lima, Superfly in Decatur and Atlanta, at Kevin Grapples on Instagram, and the PGF. And I'll be in the Fantasy League this year. Finally, I get to play it. I get to be in the Fantasy League, so come let me beat your ass in fantasy points.
Did you not get to play it? Like, were they Pete Rosing it? You guys couldn't be involved in it?
I could be involved. I was just kind of busy.
Not from the look of it. Tim, how about you?
You can catch me on Inside BJJ, all the social medias. I got a Patreon. It's patreon.com/InsideBJJ. It was great to be here today, guys. Despite what I say, I really do love you guys. It's a great show. So thanks, guys. It's always fun. I look forward to it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I will close out by saying this. I got a note here from my group that said, when we put up for questions, do you have any questions for us here at the PGF group, who are going to be doing all of our stuff at the Bullpen? Egghead said, I saw something about a draft for PGF. How will that work? Well, next week back here, we will do a draft here on this show between the 3 of us, and we will be inviting a 4th. Who's the 4th? I mean, rack your brain. Figure out who we think we're going to be inviting here. And from that, I think we're going to think that is the way that our team needs to budget it. And listen, not for nothing, we did have our longest episode ever, but Bobby 5G says, best episode today from the pit stuff, AIGA review and PGF talks. Thank you, sir. We did try to give you something. And as always, more people show up at the end. I cannot explain it, but we love you guys. And we're excited to see you at the PGF in just a couple weeks. We kick off the show with the pre-show to the draft, and we will be there for pre and post shows every day that follows. So thank you so much for your love and appreciation. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.